What moment made you say, X93 yep, by 92 meters definitely dead, X94, but survived with no major injuries. Parachute deployed but failed to open. That was one of those moments, then training kicked in. Cutaway failed chute, deploy secondary. But for a brief moment life was about to be over in my mind. Tire popped going over a 2-lane road with steep drops on both sides. My car jerked to the side hard, and my car went sideways. Half my car hung over the side and luckily it's low so it bottomed out. I climbed into the back seat and jumped out the back door. Some dude in a truck pulled me out and I drove on a flat to the other side and swapped my tire out. Went whitewater rafting on the Golly River and my raft flipped on Pillow Rock, one of the most famous class versus rapids. Scariest moment of my life, but, other than unexpectedly swallowing some water and almost vomiting, I came out completely unharmed. I ate one of those Brock's oval-shaped hard candies, think they were called sparklets, at home alone when I was 6. Got stuck in my throat. I stood there in shock for a few seconds as I started to realize I couldn't breathe. I ran crazily around the room and ended up colliding hard into the back of the couch which caused the candy to go flying out. Best accidental Heimlich ever. Typo edit. When both the stewardess and pilot at different times came on the loudspeaker of the plane saying they are doing their best to land safely. Then seeing the fire engines and other emergency vehicles on the runway waiting for us. The plane landed fine, but as it was going for the landing a weird calm came over me because I knew I wasn't going to make it and that was fine. I was drunk and running in the woods when bam, barbed wire fence straight to the throat. The last thing I remember I couldn't breathe and was passing out and there was blood squirting from my neck. Woke up an hour later and walked home looking like a murder victim. A really bad flash fire at work where I jumped into a pit to get away from the heat. I saw the flames roll right over top of the pit. I thought for sure I was going to die. I got some wicked third-degree burns, but I lived. I'm a skier. On a few occasions I've caught an edge at a pretty high speed, 50 plus mph or more. That moment when you feel both skis leave the ground when they're not supposed to is horrifying. Somehow I've never had anything more than some moderate whiplash and a sprained wrist, knock on wood. Yesterday morning when I slipped on some wet tin on a roof my safety cable didn't activate, luckily my coworker caught me, that's about as close as I've gotten so far. In one of my first solo flights, when Cessna's pilot door opened during a turn and my belt was the only thing between my ass and the ground, 2,000 feet away. Every time my heart does a pinch thing and starts beating irregularly at it, thanks everyone for the concern, I do have an anxiety disorder and a weirdly developed heart so those are double trouble. When I was hurtling down a mountain in the Peak District on a bike and my brakes stopped working and was heading headfirst towards an open road. In a vehicle that rolled 3 times across the highway, then got hit by an 18-wheeler that was going way too fast. 2 staples and a small head wound and that was it. All other passengers were seriously wounded or killed. Bungee jumping. For the second I legitimately thought I was dead. It was terrifying. I don't do heights well. Duct tape man, costume in middle school is a last-minute costume. I decided to cover myself in duct tape. As I wrapped my waist, chest, the shirt kept sliding so I sucked in and wrapped it real tight. Soon I realized I could breathe. Frantically tried to rip it off, but the shirt just moved with the tape. Nearly passed out before I found some scissors and cut my shirt open. Daisy chain IED attack went on a convoy in Iraq in 2003. I saw 2 go off in front of me, and felt one just behind. They didn't, just miss injuring me and the people in my vehicle. No one else in my convoy was hurt. The only injury I had was a wicked ringing in my right ear for a week, followed by some hearing loss. Not bad considering. Shortly after my dad died, I was convinced I was having a heart attack and was so depressed I just went to sleep. I was certain I wasn't going to wake up. In retrospect, I was possibly having an anxiety attack. Overdosed on antidepressants. Not a fun time, but no permanent damage. First 16 years of my life. Abusive father who would start swinging as soon as he got home from wherever he was. Anytime my father was home, all siblings would run to their room and mother would start praying silently. I once ran into 2 grizzly cubs while working a forestry job in northern Canada. I got out of there quickly and unharmed, but for a moment I was sure Mama Bear was going to come sort me out. I remember saying aloud, well, this is it. Every time I get yeeted off a horse first though is, flock here we go again, I think this is the one that's gonna kill me. When I was 11 years old my mother was driving home from school in her near new Toyota. She was almost across the entire road when a speeding car smashed her passenger side near the door. The other car must have hit my mother's car at about 80 kilometers per hour. I should have been dead. Instead, the car was almost totaled, but I escaped with only shock. When my mom read my search history 5 years ago, sometimes I get random stabbing pain in my right side, around the location my appendix used to be. I have no idea what it is, but in the beginning I thought I was going to die or something like that. Currently my theory is that it's some kind of cramp. When I was younger my dad set up a zip line in my backyard, and I volunteered to test it first. I started out fine, but right at the highest point, the line snapped and I fell straight down probably like 7 meters, approximately 20 feet. Luckily the ground was soft and I was fine, but the moment I felt the cable break I thought I was done for lol. Went down at 100 miles per hour on motorcycle, only broke ankle. Bike was not damaged. I was alone with my 10-month-old son and the stupid baby walker that a neighbor gave to us started playing the creepiest melody ever by itself at 2 a.m. I suppose it was because I had to wash it and probably ended up screwing some circuits, but, man, did it really have to be at night and when I was alone.